Do not feel like you are behind when what God has for you, okay? Don't feel like you have to work for what God has for you. The things that God is doing in your life, it's not because of you, it's because of him, because of how faithful he is, because of his character, his personality, because of how he is a promise keeper. So in my dream last night, y'all, I was getting my kids ready for school, okay? And I thought I was running late. I wasn't like panicking about it, but just like in my mind, I believe my daughter asked me something in the dream and I was like, oh, we're running late, you know, or whatever. And I remember looking at the clock in my dream and it said 9:06, which I'm gonna get to that in a minute, okay? So when I looked at the clock and saw that it was only 9:06, I was like, oh, I'm actually not late. You know, I'm ahead of schedule, like I'm on time, basically. So as I'm getting my son ready, I go to cut his hair, y'all. Mind you, I'm not a hair cutter, okay? I'm not, especially for my son where it involves clippers and lining him up and so on and so forth. But in the dream, I was doing what I was trying to, okay? I did not know which guard to use on my son's hair in the dream, okay? I was lining him up. Like I remember going in and like trying to, you know, keep him lined up. But when I went to like actually do his hair, I noticed that I had messed up a couple times. And when I saw that, I stopped because I was like, you know what? I'm not about to try and mess this up, or I'm not about to try and keep going and end up messing it up even more. So the way the Lord broke this down for me, okay, a couple things. One, you're not late, you're aligned, okay? Just like in my dream, I thought I was running late, but I wasn't, right? A lot of us on this journey, especially if you are in your waiting season, right, in your waiting room, okay, you are going to feel like Satan is going to make you feel like you're behind, right? You missed something, you didn't hear God correctly, you messed things up or whatever. Like you're going to have these seasons, these times within this season where you're feeling like you're behind, okay? So you're not late, you're aligned, right? Just like in the dream, I was like, oh, I'm not late, right? Sometimes you can be doing the right thing, but still moving in your own strength. Okay. And even though I wasn't panicking in the dream, there was a subtle like striving in my spirit, right? Trying to handle it myself, trying to line up what I wasn't fully equipped to manage without God, right? Like, so ideally, you know, I would have taken my son to a professional, or if there was somebody in my family or whatever that knew how to cut hair, I would have brought them in. Why would I be trying to cut my own son's hair knowing I have not a lick of experience doing that? Why are you trying to put things in your own hands knowing you don't have a lick of experience doing that? Why, when we put things in our own hands, do we mess it up? And now I've talked about before how you can't mess up God's plans, and you can't, nobody can mess up God's plans because we're not powerful like that, okay? But we can cause unintentional delays. We can cause issues within, you know, and it's not that God didn't already take this into account, because he already knows. He's Alpha and Omega, beginning and end. He knows all, right? But at the same time, like when we try and keep things in our hands, when we're trying to do things in our own strength, we can unintentionally cause, you know, hiccup. So the clippers represented control, okay? The guard, remember I told you guys, well, actually, I don't know if I mentioned this. In the dream, I didn't know which guard to use on my son's head, okay? And again, because I'm trying to do something that I had no business doing, right? The guard, that was wisdom, boundaries, discernment, right? And the moment I reached for them without full clarity, it became obvious. I'm doing this again, trying to carry what I meant to surrender, okay? Going back to 9:06 in my dream, the Lord told me Deuteronomy 9:6. And Deuteronomy 9:6 says, understand then that it is not because of your righteousness that the Lord your God is giving you this good land to possess, for you are a stiff-necked people. Just like I was saying earlier, right? Like God is bringing you this promise. God is giving you this marriage. God is giving you this business. God is giving you this ministry. God is giving you these finances because of who he is, not because of you. There's nothing that you can do to earn whatever it is that God is going to bless you. Like this promise, this calling, family, ministry, business, again, whatever it is that God has promised you, right, isn't yours to manufacture. You can't line it up with your own logic. You know, even kind of tying into Proverbs 3:5-6, right? Lean not on your own understanding, but in all ways trust the Lord, right? I can't clip away flaws, fix people, or speed up the process to avoid mistakes. It's not my righteousness that will establish the promise. It's his faithfulness, okay? And even more than that, it's his timing, because 9:06 wasn't just about time, it's about alignment. God was confirming you're not late, you're just learning to stop before you do more damage trying to help me, right? Capital M. God doesn't need our help, right? God does not need our help, okay? So I stopped, right? In the dream, I stopped. I was like, I ain't doing this, okay? Stop striving, stop fixing, stop fearing you're behind, right? Because sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is pause before you mess it up further, right? Not out of failure, but out of wisdom, out of reverence, out of deep realization that you've hit the edge of what you can do. And now it's time to let God be God. You're not failing, you're learning. You're not behind, you're being aligned. And this promise, it's still yours. Not because of your perfection, but because of his covenant. He is a covenant keeper, he is a promise keeper. Amen.